Welcome, everybody. This is the Hug Angel. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to send out this inaugural video out to the planet as the Hug Angel to really speak to the power of the unification known as the hug. But in this case, we're going to have hug mean harmonic, unified grid work. Okay, so we're going to be doing some grid work in today's transmission. This is an energetic update, a report, if you will, from what I call the angelic light stream. This is the consciousness of all creation, of living light that is informing each and every one of us on the daily. And so what's important to me is just to release a transmission as regularly as I can to assist people in coming into what I call harmonic alignment, light optimization, or halo. Okay, again, I'm going to be giving some terminology as you get to know me on this channel. Just understand what I am and what I do is teach something I call angelic physics. I am a reverend of metaphysics, a practitioner of metaphysics. I have been working as a light stream or channel of these living transmissions of light that come into this planet on a regular basis now for over a decade, almost 2 decades actually. So I just want to be really clear that anything that I am transmitting for you, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not for you. Okay? Anything that is coming through these transmissions that feels uncomfortable, you don't understand it, it just doesn't feel, for whatever reason, the truth to your authentic nature or spirit or soul, totally fine. Just let it go, okay? Just let it go. It's really important to know what is for you and what isn't. And so what I always like to say is, coming into your heart, when we come into the nature of who we are at the heart level, that is where the real magic happens. That is where the real mysticism happens, the alchemical force that is alive in us that wants to co-create with the universal consciousness all exists within this space known as the heart. Now, this is the true operating system of your human nature, your human mortal instrument, if you will, and your human bloodstream that goes through has a plasmic frequency or plasma in the blood that picks up and stores certain information of living light. So you're going to be learning a little bit as we go. It's not just about me coming in with these reports or energetic updates. It's also trying to give you or impart a little bit of what I know as universal conscious wisdom. So when we tune into our heart, your blood is going through the heart every 2 minutes. Every single cell in your body is going through your heart every 2 minutes. So as you hold frequency in the heart, you are informing every single blood cell that travels through the heart with a certain consciousness. So you are always empowered to shift your frequency and your harmony in any moment by just breathing into the heart, focusing on the heart, bringing love and light specifically into that space. And that will start to reinform or adjust or recalibrate the entire frequency of your body. Okay, and then of course your etheric and emotional and vibratory bodies as well. Okay. All right, so let's start with the breath. Just taking a deep breath. As we move into the breath, we are asking the questions. The inhalation is the receptivity of the answers. The exhalation is the questions, okay? And so the inquiries or those questions that go out into the universal consciousness as that exhalation, saying, what is it that we need to know? We come into the space of humility and acceptance and allowance, saying that there's something here that I don't already know. I'm humble enough to receive. And we receive it back from that universal consciousness into our hearts. So that is how we start to come into harmonic alignment, through the humility, the key of humility, a frequency of humility. And so we just breathe. And what I know already is that you are loved and you are lovable. and everything in your nature aligns to the love and the universal wisdom. It is simply the degree of your acceptance at the conscious level to this influx of abundant love that is always flowing to you that you receive it. When we look at the levels of consciousness, in order to begin to access those levels of wisdom and love, you must break through first the gateway of courage. Courage is the gateway to come into the frequency of faith, which then leads you to belief, which then leads you to knowing. And it is at the state of knowing, the I know who I am, I know who we are as a unified whole of oneness. When we come into this state of knowing, we are then graduated to becoming what I call a grid worker or a planetary guardian. So this transmission here today has to do with guardianship or grid work. It has to do with the Lionsgate portal, which is the 8-8, sometimes the 888. And today is August 8th, right? The 8-8, 2019. So it's actually an 883 in this harmonic today, specifically this frequency. Now, that being said, we are moving into a frequency of the triple goddess that 3 represents, this Trinity field. And so the beauty of that is we get to start to acknowledge the nature of our heart even more so. And I call this nature today specifically our lion-hearted nature. The lion heart is that ability to step fearlessly like a child, right? When you came in like a child, you had all this fearlessness, right? And maybe you are still young enough to feel that way. But you step into this lion-hearted frequency of courage that allows you to access the higher wisdom, the states of true sovereignty, or what I call the sovereign states. And when we are in our sovereign state, we are in a place of neutrality that is compassionate to the whole. And we are neutral in the state that when we see people in perhaps a state of living hell, where they do not know who they are judging everything around them, they are feeling separate from their source and everything that expresses that source through individuals, perhaps, different relationships with the experience called life, right? They feel separated. They're still running a duality consciousness that feels abandoned by their source and therefore abandoned by others, or left out in the cold perhaps, or left out of certain experiences because there's something defective within them or wrong, or somehow feeling like the victim, or somehow just, again, separated from the unified field of love. So what I'm going to say is that is not the truth for anybody. It is a perception only. It is a feeling state that they have bought into the stories, they've onboarded certain programs of belief that they've been given from childhood or even birth, or even past lives and other lifetimes of consciousness, that is informing their system that there's something off, that there's something not quite in harmonic alignment, right? These are all distorted or disharmonic frequencies of belief that keep that individual out of tune, out of touch, out of alignment, right, with the universal. So, what I know is that as we move through elevated states of consciousness and we continue to rise into our own frequency of universal power as love, right, we are going to see more of separation or distorted fields, right, because we are moving into frequencies that just don't resonate with those fields. So there is a state of duality automatically just when you feel separated from others at a frequency level, where you're no longer aligned to their frequency. You don't resonate with them. This is where that expression comes from. I just don't resonate with that. So you are vibrating at a different frequency. So duality in the earth plane is normal and natural. from a standpoint of resonance. There are going to be things you resonate with and things you don't, period, right? However, it is important to acknowledge that when you are truly in your belief system, sovereign or free, right, in that sovereign state of belief, you acknowledge that even though you don't resonate with something, you still have compassion for it because you understand at a universal conscious level there is no separation. You are not actually separate from it. It is simply not in resonance with you at this moment. And it can in any moment become more resonant, right? But it's just a degree of consciousness, a degree or element of frequency that keeps you in your own field of expression, of light, as living light, and someone in their field of expression. Now, a field of expression just means that each and every one of us are instruments of the living light source of all there is, okay? Call that God, call that universal consciousness, call that the angelic light stream, call that whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter the label. This is all up to you to decide. You are the co-creator here. What matters is that you understand what you are labeling. What matters is you know the directive and the intention behind that label, if you will. So in that, just know that there is an expression of you that is unique to you. It is unique to your very DNA and the design of the sacred geometry that informs you at the holographic level or the field level, that is projecting you into form and holding space for you. And your sovereignty is your ability to hold that space. Sometimes people feel they need to shield and protect themselves. Really, all that means is you are creating a boundary of what you are responsible for, what is your domain, what is your specific signature or frequency, and what you are not responsible for as the rest of the collective frequency of consciousness, or the universal field, and everybody in it, right? And the reason for that, the reason we create a boundary or an interface between us and the rest of the field is so that we can tune in and direct specifically our own personal signature or transmission of intelligence, our own authentic nature at the soul level, at the lion-hearted, or sometimes I call it diamond-hearted level, where the diamond is strong, it's powerful, but it's transparent, clear, and it also has the ability to value itself at the utmost level and therefore value others as the same, right? There's no fear of being shattered like a crystal. You are strong, okay? So this is what we're doing here today, is we're stepping into a new level of courage and faith and leaping into a new understanding that we are capable of moving into a higher echelon or frequency of consciousness, and okay with leaving behind what is no longer serving our resonance or our vibrational field. And that might be certain individuals, that might be certain beliefs, that might be certain stories of emotion that you're still holding on to from the past, that might be energies that have to do with, just what you come in to create. Maybe you've created a whole bunch of children of ideas, and it's like you don't want to, let go of your children, but really there's one specific project or idea that really deserves your attention and full focus. And therefore, it's allowing yourself to let the others go for now. Doesn't mean necessarily forever, but for now, so you can choose one, focus on it, and move forward with clarity and conviction. So I'm just giving you guys some ideas of how to look at this. And again, these are just concepts. These are just philosophies of what I call angelic physics. It's the angles of consciousness, those angel angles that are of the higher refined degree of light or intelligence or energetic vibratory, right? The frequencies have to have a higher frequency that then is capable of observing the entirety of consciousness and decide what is for it and what isn't. What is light intelligence and what is counter light intelligence or counterintuitive. So when we come into our intuition, we are aligning more to the highest potential of intelligence that we can access and transmitting that through us as the intention of consciousness that we wish to create as our experience. So it's like you are a living projector, right? You're just walking around as a projector of this living light that comes through you, right? So you're this instrument of living light. And you can think of all the cells in your being as different prisms, holographic prisms, that are going to refract that light in such a way that is going to project out a really interesting story around you all the time. And you get to look at that story and decide if you like the story, is it, happy romantic comedy level, or is it drama, trauma, horror? And if it's the drama, trauma, horror train, maybe get on the other bus, maybe get on the other train, right? Like shift your degree of consciousness up a bit and over, right? It's just a shift of a degree and you can come into a different state of alignment. It's a decision in any single moment. Whatever you're observing in your life, and light, right? But in your life that doesn't resonate with you, that you don't feel good at 100% level of joy about, you get to decide, oh, I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to focus over here instead. Oh, I'm going to neutralize that from my consciousness, and by digging deeper to find out the source of creation of that, because that is no longer something I wish to experience. And this is where you get to look at different modalities, let's say, call them, of, subconscious or unconscious belief clearing, right? Working with certain clearing statements and other things to really dig deeper into those levels. And also, you can try potentially hypnotherapy, quantum hypnotherapy, and so forth, to find out what is the root cause, the root core wound or similar that is causing that projection to be distorted for you and not in resonance with your conscious mind. Because remember, the conscious mind is only 7% of the equation. The remainder of that percentage of the 100% is your unconscious. And that's really what's creating everything. So your conscious mind is like the avatar in a video game running around the game going, what am I going to do? Am I slaying a dragon? Am I saving the princess? Whatever. While your unconscious is the one designing the game for you, to teach you, to give you certain experiences for soul growth, and to assist you in coming into a greater, grander, majesty of who you already are. And remember, that is only at the human level. The truth of who you are at what I call the angelic level, or the highest divine conscious level, is already perfect, whole, and holy. There is no separation of anything. You are in full bliss and joy all the time. You are always operating at the full consciousness, let's call it, right? The 100%. It is only when we choose to come into the mortal instrument of the human body and give up that immortal nature to come into the mortal instrument that we then put on like a blinder, if you will, and cut out the majority of that consciousness and only hold 7% in the game. So we're a little bit like blind leading the blind, all of us down here on the planet. But the beauty is we are always rising into a grander level of consciousness and assisting each other to do so, because each of us have a different 7%. And when we come together in groups, we share experience, we share this consciousness, and we grow and amplify that consciousness and reflect back to each other new levels of teaching. So we're always, essentially always growing, expanding, and elevating into a higher state of frequency of consciousness. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's kind of just the stream that wanted to come through from that divine mind this morning to assist us before we go into what I call this harmonic unified grid work. Okay, so this is the hug today that we're going to be doing for the Lion's Gate. So I want to kind of bring everybody into the same understanding a little bit there, and that's part of that unification, right? That's the you and hug is coming together with consciousness that is aligned, right? That we are harmonically aligned a little bit to be able to bring forth the grid work itself, okay? All right, so what do I mean by grid work? Let's just define grid work here really quick. For those of you who are new, The grid is the ley lines of the planet. These used to be called dragon lines. They are now called ley lines. But these are harmonic lines around the planet that hold the planet into form. So they are holographic by nature. They are fields of intention of creation that hold the whole holographic nature into a space, right, which is where the planet's located, and then from there inform everything that is in matter, right? And that's basically the general idea of everything that exists. There is a holographic, energetic, informational field that projects things into form, and therefore matter comes into play. So we are micro cells of the macro cell that is the planet, right? It's one giant cell within a universal construct. We are the micro cells on the planet, all informing the planet. We are all taking part as little butterflies having an effect across the whole universal consciousness, right? If you know about the butterfly effect. We are each individual transformational systems as these caterpillars going into the butterfly and back into the cycle of life and repeating and repeating and repeating, constantly evolving in an entire larger system called the planet, known as Earth or Gaia. These ley lines then are harmonic strings, if you will. Okay, so think of it like an instrument, like a harp. You are an individual harp. You have multiple strings. I call these the angelic dream keys. There are 72 core strings that inform who you are, and they can be in harmony or out of harmony, and you have an opportunity to harmonize them at any time. That is your own personal instrument of creation and co-creation, where you dream awake a new reality through your instrument on the daily, every day, right? Now, the entire planet, similarly, is like a giant earth harp, right? And we've even had something called the earth harp come into our consciousness. Well, the planet is this giant instrument of harmonics as well that runs on vibrational frequency resonance as energy. So when we harmonically align ourselves, we become grid workers. We become essentially biohackers for the planet. We can go in and work on the harmonics of the planet because we've kind of earned our wings, so to speak, to do so. Because we've had the ability to understand that we are just a part of the whole. We are one cell in the structure. And therefore, because we have that consciousness and we have that willingness to be of service, we become living earth angels. We become these architects of co-creation on the planet, like angels coming into form, right, walking in human form to work on the planet as the ground crew, right? And so there are many of us on the planet today. Some of us are referred to as the 144,000, but basically whatever you see yourself as, understand, if this resonates with you, that means you are here to be of service to the whole. It is never just about yourself. And if it gets to a place where you find yourself really so self-focused, that means you're out of harmony with your true mission and your true purpose if you still resonate with the idea of being a light worker and a grid worker. So that's just something to consider. So when we come into harmony and understanding that we are here to be of service, then we go into the grid systems. We start to tune into the planet as a system along these ley lines, and these are vertical and horizontal lines around the planet. Think of them like longitude and latitude lines, if you will, right, around the planet. And they follow certain physical natures of the planet. So you'll find a lot of the intersections of these lines as power points at certain key points on the planet, like let's say in Egypt, or let's say Stonehenge or Machu Picchu, or places like that, these power centers on the planet, right? And these power centers you can kind of also see as chakra points or energy centers on the planet that hold a lot more energy than your standard area of the planet, let's just call it, just for, for sake of simplicity. Now, as a grid worker or a light worker that is working at the universal levels, you can consciously move your energetic consciousness of intention into any place on the planet at any given time through the imaginational field. So you go into your imagination and you put your imagination, let's say, in Egypt, which is going to be our location today, and you see the pyramids in your mind, you see the Sphinx, you see the Nile, you see the desert, you can kind of take a bird's eye view or angel eye view on this, and you just see Egypt as the intentional image that you were holding in that moment. So you see that as one point on the planet, a power center on the planet. Now, the importance of this, and the reason we're using Egypt today, is because the alignment of the star Sirius, or the planet system, star system Sirius, that is moving in alignment with Egypt today at the Lion's Gate, is really important. Okay, they are in alignment with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid of Giza, as far as the Sun and Sirius and these places on the planet. So it is forming essentially a gateway or a portal of consciousness. So we align to that, and we visualize that, and we go into this field of the imagination and just see Egypt. Breathe in the air, imagine you're there. Maybe you feel a little warm. Maybe it's a little warm today in Egypt. And you just see that in your imagination. Maybe you are walking on the sand, grounding into the space. Or maybe you are hovering over the pyramids, looking down. However you choose to connect to this is appropriate for you. So as we harmonically align to this universal field of the planet, and then we just go into more specifics of Egypt within the planet, we are moving down into a very specific tone or frequency. We are going to hold the vibration of 528 hertz, okay, just universal love, and we are going to bring this frequency as a collective now into Egypt, honoring it as the gateway of the lion-hearted, honoring it as a portal of elevation or ascension for the planet, honoring ourselves as co-creators of the new consciousness of what I call Diamond Earth. Diamond Earth, again, is what you might call New Earth, or 5D, or fifth degree, fifth dimensional Earth. Whatever you want to label it, I call it Diamond simply to acknowledge that it is coming into a higher state of clarity, transparency, if you will, and strength, power, and value, being valued at all levels. And also just the idea of the diamond light frequencies really resonates with a balanced state of sovereignty between the masculine and feminine energies, so that everything becomes gender neutral. Everything becomes like this androgynous neutral energy of love. Right now we are dissolving and dismantling what many call the 3D platform, the 3D Earth. I call this the violet Earth. Sometimes violent, you can add an N, but the idea is we are releasing and purging, cleansing and clearing through the alchemical fire of the violet frequency or love stream that is here to transmute all that is distorted, all that is not love, all that is counter to love, anything that keeps us bound to a program of disbelief in ourselves, a program of separation from each other, a program of there is an us and them. The infamous them, as I like to call it, can be seen as the controllers, the cabal, the Illuminati, call it whatever label you want, but it's still this idea that there is a them. There is a big they out to get us, right? We're not in this together, we are separated. So as long as we have that consciousness running based on previous stories and programmings of disbelief, like we cannot believe what's happening on this planet, right? We go into dramatic stories of disappointment and disheartening terror sometimes. And yet, the truth is that love is only existing here. There is only love. There is only the abundance of all creation happening at any time. It is what we choose to do with that and co-create as our story of existence that is unfolding as our collective consciousness. So we have to unplug from those old stories and dismantle them. And it happens at the individual level. It takes each and every one of us individually to take accountability for what we are plugging into as that universal program that wants to keep us enslaved to a system that does not serve us. Because somewhere along the lines, we bought in and onboarded a belief that we are not enough, that we deserve punishment, and we've been self-abusing ourselves by buying into that belief for eons, generations. So, it is time to let go of those stories and to forgive all of the trespasses against humanity that has really been our own trespasses against ourselves. That is the first directive coming from the higher councils of light that are witnessing all of us as us. It is us serving us always. Those highest councils, whether you call them the Christ conscious councils, the angelic councils, God or goddess councils of love, whatever you call it, that universal consciousness, those councils that are observing and assisting and guarding are simply us counseling us. Okay? Remember who you are. Remember that you are a divine being, immortal being of consciousness that is eternal and radiant in every direction beyond all time and space, and you are simply projecting yourself into one mortal instrument called a human body at this time to be of service to not only others but to yourself. Everything is happening for you. The universe is always conspiring for your highest good. That is what I know. It is up to you to remember this, to onboard this fully into your universal consciousness as a co-creator with all consciousness, right? And just to really remember that you can let go. You have the power of decision in every moment to let go of old stories, old beliefs, false identities, anything that you think has happened to you, whether it was your parents or your peers, it doesn't matter anymore. Blank slated, everything before you no longer exists. From this moment forward, you are building a new reality for yourself, and this is part of the new equation of creating Diamond Earth, or this new Earth that is transparent. There's nothing hidden. We are in the age of what many call the apocalypse. The apocalypse is revealing what is hidden. We are revealing all that is kept secret and hidden from us so that we can see where our core wounds are, where we have been hurting ourselves. And what I'm seeing at the collective levels is we are hurting our inner children because we are not acknowledging the divinity of our child, like nature. We are not acknowledging the children on this planet with the grace and love that they deserve. And it starts with each and every one of us acknowledging our inner child, the child in us that knows exactly why it came and what it came to do as love, and how it came to be as love, and not to be contained and put into any box or label, but just to be all universal love coming in to be love. It is the programs that we limit our children with, whether it's through our schooling systems or anything else, that says they can't do this, they can't do that, they have to behave, all the rest, right? We limit that very nature, that fiery nature of co-creation from birth, really. Shh, 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 don't cry, right? That cry, that primordial cry, is a co-creative resonance, right? So remember, it is not your fault. It is not your parents' fault, or any of the generationals or ancestrals. This has been a system that has been in play for a long, long time. And it's not about finding who's to blame. It's just taking accountability that we take part in it. And when we take accountability at the individual level, we start to shift the entire whole. And that's how you become a grid worker, right? That's how you work the grid, by working yourself. Work your internal innerverse first, your overall grid first, that you know what's going on with you, how you're feeling. Get to the bottom of those feelings. Release them. Reveal them and release them. Say hello, pain, and goodbye. It's not to create relationship with that pain, just to see it, reveal it, and let it go. That is your job. It's not to create more relationship with the pain and analyze it and go into the mental field with it and invite it to dance and ask it over for dinner and make a whole relationship, right? It's simply to say, oh, look at what's leaving me now. This pain is leaving my system. Thank you. Goodbye. I call it the hi-bye. Hello, bye, hi-bye. Not to be held on to. Just bubbling up to be released. Got a pain in my hip. Oh, it's coming up to be released because I haven't stepped forward into my true purpose. Oh, I have a sharp headache. It's coming up to be released to open me up for more universal consciousness. Because what follows the release is always the restorative. When we release, we make room. And when we make room in our vessel for anything, what comes in is the pouring in of light to restore and supplement the system. So again, taking full accountability for our own selves, our own harmonic alignment is always the first place to start. And when you are in that halo effect, right, when you are in that optimized light, then you are capable of serving others. The empty cup cannot quench anyone's thirst, correct? And when it is overflowing into the saucer, then the saucer is the extra that you can then feed others from, or allow others to drink from. But if you are empty and you keep emptying that cup, then you are running that martyr program, you are running that sacrificial program that again is part of the overall system that is being dismantled and released. So that is one to be released. Take care of yourself, and from the bounty of who you are, the abundance of who you are, when you are in that abundant state of overflow, then you share and serve from the overflow. Okay, so as we know that, we move into this consciousness of Egypt now, because all of this has been coming through from this portal that we've already linked into as Egypt, okay? The hug is coming. This hug is this universal love, right? Along the entire planet, right? It's rippling out across the entire planet. When we acknowledge these wisdom keepings of the universal consciousness that is flowing here through now as this transmission, it is an energy of healing. It is an energy of light information. And the transmission coming through my voice is the sound resonance that is harmonizing and transforming in every moment and every word. So it's commingling and weaving consciousness as light. So it's light weaving, right? But it's really sound and light. There's two kind of lights. Let me explain this. There's the universal consciousness of light that is the actual informational consciousness itself that we call the light, right? Then there's the vibrational light that is given off by that, and the sound resonance that comes from the energy of that vibration. So there's the first light that gives off the secondary light and sound as vibration. So hopefully that makes sense, okay? Because I know there's a lot of chicken and egg philosophies about what comes first, the light or the sound, and I'm just being clear, consciousness comes first. Consciousness travels faster than the speed of light, and it is the fastest, basically, quantum jumper that is always around us. And we are looking at bringing more of this consciousness into our own living instrument on the daily, every single day, right? So hopefully this transmission is assisting you in doing that and understanding a little bit more of who you are. And remember, you can go back and you can listen to it again, because I know I stream this through relatively quickly, because I want to get as much out as I can to the masses. And it's just how I process. I'm a rapid processor. So I do what I can to regulate it, but I know sometimes it just comes very quickly through my system. And so if you didn't catch it all, that's okay. Just go back and listen to it again. Maybe take notes. But just understand that your unconscious is getting everything. So there really isn't anything you need to dissect or analyze here with the mental understanding. It's all being received. There's nothing to do. The transmission is alive and well in you already. So just know that, really understand and know that. And when these transmissions come through as hugs, right? That's why I call myself the hug angel. In addition to giving heart-to-heart hugs, I do these transmissions as living light hugs into your system to remind every aspect of who you are that it is loved deeply. And right now we are accessing the portal of Egypt to remind the planet that she is loved deeply. And we are aligning anybody listening to this transmission and sharing this transmission across the world to see a beautiful vibration of light coming around this planet now from Egypt, going around the planet, swirling around the planet, and we'll just call it the diamond light. This diamond light is sparkling and opalescent. It has little rainbow sparkles going on in it. You can kind of see it as an angel aura quartz, if you know that stone. But that frequency of love and light that comes around the planet right now is going around and informing every single being on this planet, human and otherwise, that it is loved. It is unified through the field of love. And as I'm transmitting this now, I'm imagining that I am holding my hand over the planet itself. I'm imagining myself as this big light being, and the planet is smaller than me, and I'm just holding my hand over the planet itself and beaming the wisdom of my love that is connected to the universal mind into this planet now, aligning it to peace, aligning it to the streams of joy, happiness, abundance, beauty, graceful authority, unconditional life force. It's a big one. Sustenance on all levels. May all that I am gazing upon through my consciousness be blessed and neutralized and brought into wholeness. May the beings that are the children of this planet be acknowledged and revered and elevated and kept safe. Again, not to get into the darkness too much of this planet, but there's a reason we are seeing an elevation of consciousness around trespasses against children, let's call it that. Because that is no longer acceptable for us to rise into this next state of sovereignty, that diamond clarity. So again, it just needs to be revealed to be released, right? The high bye on the planet. Hello and goodbye. No longer allowed here, no longer needed here. Thank you very much, but goodbye. The abuse of children is no longer tolerated. No longer necessary, because it is a cycle that will continue for generations upon generations. So we are looking to release anything that represents the trespass against the soul of another. We are resolving that in this moment through the power of the intention and through the graceful authority coming through me now, streaming through me now. We resolve and dissolve and dismantle anything in alignment with trespasses against our souls, our bodies, our consciousness. We are no longer allowing for those trespasses. And we are activating the universal consciousness of safety and protection for all beings, great and small, on this planet now. We are activating the frequency of the angelic dream key, Mikael, to keep all safe. You may see that as Archangel Michael for those of you who align to the angelic stories, mythologies, if you will. But what I know is it's all about intention. And so what I know is through my intention, I am setting a blanket around this planet right now energetically of safety and protection for all creatures, all beings, even the elemental beings known as the trees and the waterways and the oceans, and the beings that are the living library keepers, such as the cetaceans, the dolphins and whales, right? That roam our oceans, reinforming the emotional nature of our oceans. I protect them through the power invested in all of us. I send a field of protection around each and every one of them. I ask that they are deeply protected and acknowledged and kept clear and clean at all levels and all systems. That the oceans be resolved to come back into full purity, releasing anything at the microplastic level, the radiation level, clearing out anything of toxicity, any type of pollution, just clearing that out of the oceans now. I'm hugging the oceans clean now. Moving into the continents and the trees and the forests and the beings and all animals, great and small, within these ecosystems. I am assisting them to come into their rightful place of sovereignty now. Through the power of the lion-hearted nature, of my authority and wisdom, of what I know we all are, I am assisting every being to step fully into diamond earth with grace and ease now. I'm acknowledging the dismantling of Violet Earth, the Earth platform that no longer serves, whatever that is required to do so, whether that is the melting of the glaciers, whether that is releasing old systems and old energetic patterns through certain fires and purging and earthquakes, whatever is required to be released, we are asking that that dismantling happen with grace and ease for all concerned, and that those who choose and wish to get on the new platform of consciousness, the new operating system called Diamond Earth, 5D Earth, 5th degree nature, whatever you call it, we are asking that they are assisted now to move into that next level of consciousness, releasing all stories, releasing all programs, releasing all addictions to drama and trauma and disappointment and abuse, especially self-abuse, releasing all of that with the old platform so that it may be simply purged, released, and dismantled fully and neutralized into the full source field as only a chapter in the history of this universe and multiverse. That all the experiences felt upon the original Earth be resourced, filed away for source consciousness to fully and truly understand itself, but that we no longer need to serve that construct of belief any longer. We no longer need to step into the pain field to understand love and acceptance. Breathing in and exhaling, just imagining you're releasing that old planetary system, the old violet earth falling away, and you are now stepping fully through a gateway. Within the gateway portal of Egypt, there is a doorway, and you may imagine it going into a temple like a pyramid. You're stepping into a pyramid, and you are going to quantum leap through this pyramid, through this gateway, through this portal, into a new emergence of self, assisting through the consciousness that you are, a commitment. The assisting is coming through the commitment, correction, by committing to holding the frequency of this new level of earth, this new platform of earth, holding that diamond state, where everything that is happening around you, you have compassion but not judgment for. You see it, you acknowledge it, and you bless it to neutralize it. The statement being, may all that I gaze upon be blessed. I acknowledge the pain and suffering that you are currently feeling. I bless you and neutralize it now. These types of statements in your mind only are very powerful because they are intention. It is the first light of conscious intention that will then unfold into the mystery of all creation and go as light and sound and vibratory state and transmute and transcend into another level of understanding and consciousness. That is the law of the universe. All that you create is through that thought consciousness. Your thoughts create your reality in every moment. So choose wisely. Guard your thoughts. Hold the highest vibratory state of consciousness that you can in every moment. If you get sucked down into the drama, just step away. Say, hold on a second, hold that thought, I'll be right back, and move out of it. Focus on love, focus on light, focus on comedy. Hug yourself, hug somebody else, whatever you need to do. Shift out of it. Interrupt that pattern of consciousness as quickly as possible, because otherwise it will continue to spiral and feed and vortex into something larger and pull into it more of like consciousness, like a magnetic field generator of itself, and you'll find yourself in a storm, in a maelstrom of drama that you don't need to be in. But you have to get off that, you got to get off that frequency as soon as possible, as soon as it starts happening, to avoid that. So that's just a reminder. So you are making this commitment right now as you step into this pyramid in your mind. You're making the commitment to hold this frequency and to do your best in any moment to dissolve and resolve lower frequencies as they come into your field, because they will. They'll be drawn to you. They'll be attracted to you like moths to a flame. It's going to happen. But that's okay. That's just like the death throes of the system that doesn't want to let go yet. Doesn't want to die, if you will. It doesn't want to dissolve. It doesn't want to be filed away for Source to just kind of know but not acknowledge, right? It doesn't want to, it wants to still hold on to its life, if you will, its life force energy. But it doesn't serve us anymore to do so. So our job is simply not to feed it. Not to feed it our light or our life force. And that means holding your consciousness, holding that clarity always, knowing who you are as an instrument of living light, as an angel in human form. And what I mean by angel in human form, I mean you are acknowledging your divinity and being of service. Maybe you're a messenger, a creator, an architect, however you want to see yourself. You are holding that. So this has been an initiation through this portal, through the Lion's Gate, to step into the next level of lionheartedness, so you can see yourself kind of even in the sequence of archetypes of the big cats. The tiger is the caged cat, right? Has the stripes, has the bars on the cage. The panther is the shadow cat. It's the one that's fully in the dark. Can't get out, keeps mentally looping, just keeps pacing, can't get out. The other side of the tiger is the lion, the golden lion. The golden lion is liberated from the cage. It's aware that it is divine. It's aware of its majesty. It's aware of its authority. And then there's the white lion. And the white lion illustrates to us the more ascended version that not only knows its authority, but exercises its authority with grace always and love always. So, this portal, you get to choose which cat are you. What archetype are you holding right now? Are you still in the mental loops of trauma and drama? Then you're in the panther stage and you want to go into at least the tiger, where you're acknowledging that there's a system that's holding you back. And if you can jump over the tiger to lion, great, do so. Because that's where you become liberated. That's where you become sovereign and you know who you are. And if you are already a lion-hearted being, congratulations. Now go into the white cosmic lion that says, I'm here to be a grid worker, to be one who brings forth in service, because I have plenty overflowing from me to do so. This is the Lion's Gate. What do you choose to be? And then just be that. There's nothing to do. It's all about who you're being in the world. The doing will come naturally from your beingness. The doing will flow through you naturally once you decide who you are and what you are being in this world. So I invite you to step into your lion nature today. I invite you to step out of that pyramid now as a cat roaring. Which cat are you? Without shame, right? If you're still stepping out maybe as a cat that feels a little bound to the realities that surround it, that's okay. But I invite you to consider using this time wisely to step into a greater nature of yourself and stretch yourself and take a leap of faith that you are capable of holding the vibration of that next level of cat. Right? We use these archetypes for a reason, because your system speaks in image, as light and power is very directly related to these beings that exist on our planet to reflect back to us that power. And the lion is one of the most powerful archetypes we can visualize for that, for confidence, for surety, for courage, right? There's a reason you have the cowardly lion in the Wizard of Oz, that comes and wants its courage. It's an aspect of us. So, take this Lionsgate with you. Take this time to really express all that you are as who you are without doing anything. Not about taking action right now, by the way. Wait until after the gate fully closes on August 12th to take any kind of action or definitive, intention in form, let's call that, right? Right now you can create intentions and you can collect ideas and bring forth all that is spontaneously flowing to you and write it down and journal and, bring it into expression. That's fine. But to take action, wait till after the 12th. Right now it's about receiving. It's about receiving the gifts that want to come through this gateway, this portal to you. It's at its peak today. So just be open to receive what is speaking to you. Watch for the signs. I call them angel hugs when we get these number signs, right? When we get the 777s and the 1111s and all these different signs, right? These are angel hugs. These are hugs from the angels or the angelic forces of consciousness, these angles of universal consciousness that are always informing us and surrounding us to show us, yes, we hear you, we are here, we listen, and we're speaking to you now through these signs. And there are other signs, and I can't get into them all right now, but just understand these are the angel hugs. These are the ones coming forth to say you're not alone. You are never alone in this. So step out of this portal today. When you step through out of that gateway, you are landing on Diamond Earth, holding the frequency of Diamond Earth, walking on Diamond Earth as best as you can. And when you feel like you stumble and fall and you're not quite there, just acknowledge Diamond Earth and say, I walk upon the planet known as Diamond Light. The Diamond Light is my frequency. I walk upon Diamond Earth. I walk upon the elevated Earth. I hold the frequency of Diamond Light. I am a being of Diamond Light. I am the purity that Source ignites. And that is the statement that will align you to Diamond Earth every single time. I am a being of Diamond Light. I am the purity Source ignites. And just imagine this beautiful fire of Diamond Light coming through you, rectifying all that is around you, for it contains every frequency and it restores your system fully. I call it the multivitamin L for a reason, because it gives you all the supplementation you require in any moment. So just breathe that in, because that's already just been activated through those statements in you, so just breathe that in. And I acknowledge that this light is running through the core of the planet, through the heart of the planet, through the diamond heart of the planet, activating each diamond heart on the surface of the planet within every being, great and small, unifying the whole entire field to the frequency of diamond light, that source frequency of all universal consciousness, the ultimate love consciousness, the impeccable, immaculate word that speaks into form, pure, unadulterated, immaculate love. Right? So we're just acknowledging that, igniting that, harmonizing to that, and just hugging it out. You can imagine yourself hugging the planet. You can imagine hugging a loved one, feeling that embrace around you. Imagine hugging an angelic being that is your angelic nature, stepping into you, acknowledging you, embodying you, however you see fit. This has been the transmission for today, for today's Lionsgate. And I hope it was helpful for you. I really do. I know it was. I'll release the feeling of or frequency of hope and just know that it was helpful for you in some capacity. And if you're still listening, thank you. Thank you for this. Energetic update is, going to happen periodically when these types of gateways and transmissions are in alignment, and I'll be putting out other videos for guidance, of course, but these portal activations and gateways of consciousness at the universal conscious level, because there's a collective consciousness that aligns to it, it's important to acknowledge it in my ability, at the best of my ability. So that's what I'm doing here, is acknowledging this gateway. And what I'm going to say is I acknowledge you for being present and stepping in and saying yes to this expression of transmission. So thank you for that. It is my pleasure and it is my honor to serve as light, the light that you are. So again, I'm Stephanie Lodge. I am the Hug Angel. For those of you who don't know me, you can reach me at stephanielodge.com. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I guide lightworkers and others through the ascension or elevation process, through the awakening process. I give them guidance as they go through each stage of that process. That is my specialty. I also give guidance at other levels as well, and I do have something called the Angelhood, which is a group that you can join through angelicacademy.com or stephanielodge.com, and that group is a private group coaching group. That is my only group coaching available, and you can join that for a limited time to come into this group of other awakened beings that are aware that they are here to hug it out for everybody and give more hugs, right? Give that harmonic frequency that they are as light into the world. So I call them all the Hug Angels, right? Those in the Angelhood. And we just want to say thank you. The angels are coming through. Whenever I go into the we, it's the angels. So the angels of consciousness, the angels of light, want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for saying yes to being here. You chose to be here, whether you know it or not. And you were chosen to be here first. There's a mutual agreement. So, thank you. We know it's not always easy. We know it's not easy being a high vibratory being in a human suit that can feel really dense and painful sometimes. So we acknowledge that and we thank you. And we love you unconditionally with the Immaculate Grace. So with that, I will love you and hug you and just say, make it an amazing Lion's Gate. Do your best to rise into whatever state of consciousness you are capable of, to harmonize to that highest optimized light. And I just say, I see you. I recognize you already in those councils of light that you are, and just assist you in aligning to them fully now. And just step forward and be. That's all you got to do. Just be vibrant, okay? Sending you love. Speak soon. Until next time, I'm the Hug Angel. Love you. Bye.